Hello, and welcome to our podcast, Farm Stress Real Talk with Penn State Extension. My name is Chai Catalone, and I'm an Extension educator in the Food, Families, and Communities Unit based out of Elk County. This is our fourth series in our podcast, and the topic is We Are Here to Support You. Penn State Extension has a lot of resources available to all 67 counties in the Commonwealth, and this series will feature some of those resources. Today, we are highlighting our Penn State Extension's horticulture team and how they can be a resource for farmers and producers. I'm here today with Megan Luke, an extension educator on the horticulture team based in Erie County, and Andrew Holden, the business management specialist who works with the Penn State and Cornell Collaborative Lake Erie Regional Grape Program team. Welcome, Megan and Andrew. I appreciate you being here today.
Good
Megan,
afternoon.
Megan, could you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your role in the horticulture team, and the area of expertise that the horticulture team at Penn State Extension focuses on?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't speak for the whole horticulture team, obviously. We cover a lot of ground. Haha. Um, but yeah, so so I'm an extension educator in Erie County. I have about I spent about 80% of my time on the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program team. For folks that aren't familiar, we have uh, the only collaborative team between two land grant universities that's specific to the Lake Erie region. But I think we're the only one in the country that is actually like fully two land grants. So we're staffed half by Penn State and half by Cornell. And so myself and Andrew represent the Penn State side of that team. The rest of my time I spend primarily in tree fruit and small fruit, and occasionally a little bit of time with vegetables as well. My areas of focus really tend to be integrated pest management and best practices with pesticide applications, which of course goes across a lot of cropping systems. I spend a lot of time following the legal ramifications of pesticide applications and label changes as per Environmental Protection Agency standards in the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. So I work really closely with a lot of those entities to make sure that farmers have timely information regarding any changes to pesticide labels or any new safety concerns they might have, as well as resistance within pest and insect populations across the state. So that's a lot of what I do. Andrew?
Thank you. That's interesting. I love doing these because every time I learn something new, and I was not aware of the Cornell and Penn State Extension collaborative program. So that's really interesting. And Megan, you sound like you are wearing a lot of hats. So kudos to you. Andrew, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. My name's Andrew Holden, and I am the business management educator for the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. So my position is 100% Lake Erie Regional Grape Program appointment, and my main office is actually in Portland, New York, just over the border. But my coverage area is all of the counties that border Lake Erie in Pennsylvania and New York. And so I spent a lot of time in Erie, a lot of time in Chautauqua County. So I work with grape growers, wineries, and anyone in the industry, specifically on the farm economics side. So farm transition, grants, any sort of uh, business planning is my role.
Nice. Thank you. That's such a beautiful area, those counties that you mentioned.
Pretty lucky in those regards.
You definitely are. Yes. So, part of this podcast is from the Farm Stress team. So, we like to talk about ways that we can help the agriculture community. And one of the things is helping to identify what are the stressors that farmers and producers face. So, can you tell us a little bit about the stressors that you're seeing with the people you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so on my side of things, because I'm more, viticulture, I'm out in the field a lot, and a lot of the potential stressors come from the weather, of course. We've seen so many changes in weather patterns, and it's really changing the way that we have to approach agriculture in a lot of ways. And I do see a lot of concerns and a lot of stress around policy and regulatory changes. That can be anything from export. We since to backtrack just a little bit, we work with a lot of juice grape growers. So yes, wine grapes, on-site production happens, but a lot of our growers are commodity growers. If you're a commodity grower, you have an extra level of production concerns that are leveraged on you. So if it could be import concerns, it could be processor concerns. There's a lot more bottlenecks for regulation when you're a commodity producer. So we work very closely within the industry to help to make folks aware of changes because they're not always widely publicized or broadcast. So I find a lot of stress comes from that, just not being concerned about missing something, not knowing when a regulation has changed and not being able to meet the new criteria. So it's really about, just listening to what farmers are concerned about, what they don't know, and any changes on the legal side of things, particularly around pesticide labels, residue limits, changes like that are really big concerns. And then, of course, really, really severe weather events are something else that we deal with a lot.
Thank you. Those are definitely significant stressors for agricultural producers. I know right now we're having one of the historic heat waves that has come through, at least in the part of Pennsylvania where I'm at. So definitely things they cannot control and affecting their levels of stress. That's great that you can provide help for that. Andrew, did you want to add to that, or did Megan sum it up pretty good?
I think Megan did a great job. I would just, add on to that. The stressors that I mainly deal with are on the economic side, and that's something that anyone in the agricultural industry is more than familiar with. Grape production is no exception. Like Megan said, especially on commodity crop, we have pretty tight margins, and really, that price, price of grapes that is not set by the grower is often what it boils down to. So, at least in my position, that's where you hear the most stress is that bottom line, and making ends meet from year to year.
I'd say
Definitely. And
successorship too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Farm succession. I mean, that's a common problem across agriculture as well as farm families age. That passing on to the next generation or deciding whether to sell the farm. All that goes back to succession planning and business planning. It's always my suggestion to get that information written down and put a plan together, because it could be easy to ignore, but when it comes down to it, it takes a lot of stress off of somebody to have a plan in place, or be able to look at the numbers to make that decision easier, whether it's selling the operation or switching up business practices.
that's a great point. Doing things you can to be prepared can help reduce the level of stress in a crisis. So I appreciate that you brought that up. And I also think it's great that you do bring up that grape producers are facing the same challenges that the other agricultural producers are facing, and to just bring some awareness to that. So thank you. I appreciate that. Either of you can answer the next question, or you both can jump in if you want. But could you share with our audience some tools and strategies of support that Extension can offer to help mitigate stressors within the agriculture community?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to that, or either one of us, I think, can. I think one of the real hallmarks of Extension, and one of the things that we're really best at on the ground, is the networking capacity that we have. We work really hard on our team, especially to go back to the commodity piece. We work with our local chemical suppliers. We work directly with EPA representatives. We work with the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. We work with our largest processors in the region to make sure that we're aware of all of the standards that the growers are being held to across the board, and really making sure that we are up to speed on all of those aspects of operations that the growers may not have time or even the access to. So really I feel like the connections that we have, the network we have within Extension, and the fact that we're recognized as kind of a neutral party in all of it, is one of our real strengths, and what we really can bring to folks is, I may not know the answer, but I know a guy kind of across the board. And on our particular team, we have the resources of 2 different universities when it comes to research, academics, best practices, new tips, techniques, and strategies that are coming down the pipeline from the academic communities. We have immediate access to a broad range of experts in for myriad issues. So I think that's really something that we have on the horticulture team in general, and our particular grape team in specifically. I think that's something that's really, really powerful, that we can bring to the community is, you might only have to interact with one of us, but we have access to huge range of professionals that can help.
Excellent. And like you mentioned earlier, just I think that unique benefit of having Penn State Extension and Cornell Extension working together and being able to find the answers for our stakeholders, that's just a really great advantage we have. So, Andrew, would you like to go next and share a success story with our listeners that you've had in working with your producers?
Certainly, I think one recent success story would be the grant for bulk equipment that some of our Erie County Concord growers were able to receive. There was a federal, state level USDA grant for the resilient foods system, and essentially we had processors up here in this region that were mandating growers switch to a bulk delivery system. Traditionally, grapes were delivered in wooden lugs, and they wanted to speed the process up because when everybody harvests their grapes in the same time frame, there is a lot of grapes going to the processor at one time, and they're trying to cut that down as quickly as possible, save money by, getting the grapes in quicker and increasing the quality by getting them in quicker. So they mandated a few years ago that they were going to be switching to all stainless steel bulk equipment, which was fairly expensive. And for the smaller growers, that was a bigger hurdle for them to purchase this equipment. So luckily, we found this grant through the state of Pennsylvania and the USDA, and we helped a few people apply for that. And we're just getting the news now that quite a few people have actually received confirmation that they will be getting that grant. It's a 100% grant, so it's $0 out of pocket, and it allows them to buy the gondolas and the bulk trucking equipment with no cost to them, which allows them to stay in business essentially. I mean, there was certainly discussion of farmers, saying, do I switch to this bulk equipment, or do I, lease my grapes out to another farmer because I'm unable to deliver them to market. So that's one that definitely comes to mind, success here recently.
That's awesome. That is an incredible story, and that has to feel very rewarding, to be able to help someone who was facing, were they going to be able to keep in business or lease out? And now you've given them the tools to be able to continue doing what they love. So congratulations on that. That is a wonderful success story. And I think that has to be very rewarding. We're going to
Absolutely.
close.
And
Oh, go ahead,
so I
Megan.
was just going to add the ability to mobilize so quickly. The grant window was open for less than 6 weeks, so it was very, very quick. We were made aware of it through some of our contacts. Andrew was able to write it up and have time to meet with people to get the paperwork in. It was happened very fast, and it was really cool to start hearing stories now a few months later of successes with it. So.
Yep.
I'm glad you added that, Megan, because I think anyone listening that has gone through the grants processes will realize the significance of this then. that I give lots of credit to you guys. Congratulations. That really is a huge accomplishment, because that short of time, it's very difficult to turn grants around. So I'm glad you added that, because I know lots of people who listen may go through grant process and realize that, that's kind of another stressor that they face. Can be really cumbersome working through the grant process. So thanks for adding that. I'd like to wrap up with having you explain how can listeners contact you or your team to learn more about the resources, tools, and support that Penn State Extension, specifically the horticulture team, may be able to offer.
Sure. So I can speak to for the horticulture team. Our extension website is kind of our central location for most of the information. But if you have specific questions, we're kind of broken down by teams. So we have a tree fruit team, which is something you can just easily Google search, the Penn State tree fruit team. We have a vegetable, small fruit, and pollinators team. We have the grape and wine team. Those are the ones that I work with specifically. Or if you have questions about pesticide, we have a full branch that's pesticide education. If you have specific questions for either of us, the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program is the team that we're affiliated with. A lot of our website side is hosted on the Cornell extension branch, but you can find us through the Penn State Wine and Grape team as well.
And would that be searching the Erie County office if they specifically wanted to speak to either of you, looking up the Erie County Penn State Extension office, or is there a better way they could get in touch with you?
The Penn State Wine and Grape team is probably going to be the best option. Because we are a statewide and multi-statewide team. So you'll be able to find our profiles at that location. You could reach out to the Erie County office. Our wonderful office admin Pam knows how to get in touch with us as well. And if you're interested in our emails or phone numbers, if you reach out to Chai, she has our contact information on the Penn State side directly if that was needed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you also, when we got on today, you shared that you have a podcast. Would you like to share the team's podcast names?
Sure. The Penn State Wine and Grape team and the Cornell Lake Erie Regional Grape Program have a podcast called Between the Vines, and that is hosted on the Penn State side, so through Penn State Extension. And you can also find it any places where you find your podcasts. So Spotify, YouTube. We actually live record that particular podcast, so you can see us talking if you want to, but you can also download it from your other normal podcast locations. And get that information and listen to it while you're out and about, out on the tractor or working in the garage, wherever you may be.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. I love the name Between the Vines. I think that's a really great name for your podcast. I'd like to thank both you and Andrew for being here today. I'd like to end with giving one final resource. I always like to share the AgriStress helpline. It's a very unique and special helpline that is designed specifically for Pennsylvania farmers and farm families who are seeking mental health support. And that is 833-897-AGRA. So it's 833-897-2474. So please know you can reach out to that helpline if you need any type of assistance for mental health support. Listeners, I invite you to please listen to the other guests in the series. We are here to support you and learn more about how Extension can be a resource for you. If you'd like more information on the FarmStress team or the horticulture team, please visit the Penn State Extension website at extension.psu.edu. Thanks again, Megan and Andrew. I appreciate having you here today.
Thank you, Chai.